In the face of current hardship in Nigeria, many citizens are beginning to wonder if President Tinubu's renewed hope agenda is effective. At the moment, some critics are calling on the National Assembly to consider the parliamentary system of government in their quest for restructuring the country. However, while the presidency continues to plead for patience as it continues to work tirelessly to implement policies and reforms that will benefit all citizens, most supporters of the current administration are appealing to Nigerians to continue to trust President Tinubu and his team that their efforts are aimed at righting the long-standing wrongs in the nation. They further insist that the president is actively working towards enhancing the minimum wage, and thus the Nigeria Labour Congress should embrace the spirit of understanding during this transitional period. Joining us now on the show as we revisit President Tinubu's renewed hope agenda amid current economic situation is Honorable Efe Ofobruku, APC chieftain and former Delta State House of Assembly member. Good morning, Honorable Ofobruku, and welcome to the morning show.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning, Nigerians.
Honorable Ofobruku, President Tinubu engaged us during the campaign period with a document of over 80 pages titled Renewed Hope Agenda. The last time that Nigerians heard about hope was with Bashorun Abiola Hope 93. And then President Tinubu comes around, he says renewed hope. Less than 1 year down the line, Nigerians are saying they are hungry. They are intercepting trucks, carrying food. They are eating from the dustbin. NLC is fighting the president, including his children, whose bona fide is in question in the public affairs matters. I also say everybody should be patient. I ask you, where is hope?
Okay, thank you very much, Doctor. I think the hope is on the way, if you ask me. we seem to have forgotten so soon where we are coming from.
I hope will not arrive by the time we are all dead.
No. That will not be our case. That will not be our case. I would like to draw inspiration from the journey of the children of Israel from Egypt to the Promised Land. If we have to begin to...
Exodus. That's Exodus in the Bible. We have a pastor's wife here.
Fantastic.
She can confirm.
If we have to begin to look at where we are coming from and where we are today, my view on what is on ground is what we locally call chop in advance. As a nation, we have chopped in advance. A lot of things we have done in advance. We are facing the consequences of decisions of the past today. I sympathize with President Tinubu. He has said consistently that he asked for the job, that nobody should pity him. He's equal to the task, he will do the job. Quite frankly, it is not out of place to begin to tell Nigerians to exercise some patience, because definitely we need to travel this route to be able to get out of where we are today. And in traveling this route, we continue to appeal to Nigerians to exercise patience. I believe strongly that for once, we are taking the right step in the right direction. For many years, we have taken steps in the wrong direction. We are gradually turning the curve. We are taking the right steps. We are heading in the right direction. And sooner than we think, we'll begin to get some of the goodies that we think should benefit us as a people.
All right, Honorable Ofobruku, these goodies, 9 months into this administration, the goodies we seem to have received is naira to the dollar at 1,600 naira. The goodies we seem to have received is petrol PMS costs at over about the highest in recent times, about 600 naira currently. The goodies we seem to have received so far is insecurity, banditry, kidnapping, people on the streets looting, almost like we're in a jungle. Are these the goodies you're referring to? Because a number of people would not agree with you that there's anything good so far in terms of what people are experiencing. So it's just the fact that, like you highlighted, the president did mention that he had an understanding of the issues. So he knew what he had gotten himself into. So he was ready to roll up his sleeves, get to work, and no one should pity him. So we don't want to pity him this morning. We want action, and we want it now. If I want it yesterday, but the next best time is now.
The action Nigerians want is being taken already. what we are trying to achieve is like a man who is trying to process gold. The fire is being applied. Of course, fire is not cold. It will be hot. But at the end of the process, we are going to get the gold. Yes, Nigerians are hungry. Yes, the dollar rate has changed. Yes, the price of PMS has gone up. But if you look back, you will recall that some of these things we have mentioned, dollar, PMS, and others, they were subsidized over a long period, which was what I referred to as chop in advance. They were subsidized over a long period. The truth staring us in the face is that we can no longer afford some of these subsidies. We can't pay for some of these subsidies. Like a father, if we have the resources to continue the route we were on before, I'm sure this administration may have taken some steps in that direction to reduce the pain. But the reality staring us in the face is that we cannot continue to sustain that old method. You don't expect to be doing the wrong thing, the same way, and be expecting a different result. We cannot continue that way anymore. Hence, this very important but difficult decision. Though painful, but be rest assured that at the end of the process, the gold we are trying to process, we will definitely bring it out of the fire. So what Nigerians are passing through just now is the fire required to bring out the gold out of it. And that is what we are doing. So it is not a case of the presidency or the leadership of the country at the moment not knowing what to do. Of course, they know what to do, and they are doing it. It is just that the only way to do it in this present circumstance is the route that we have taken. And it is exactly what we are doing. So I'll continue to appeal to Nigerians to be patient. Things have changed. Prices have gone up in almost everything. But there's also the Nigerian factor to some of these things. It's unfortunate that we have 4 refineries. We have oil in our soils, but we are not refining products. It's also unfortunate that the people who work in these refineries, they've been earning salaries for many years for doing nothing, and they are NLC members. I also think that while NLC is holding the government to account, NLC should also call their members to order. Because they are producing nothing, but they are earning salaries, they are being promoted, they are going on trainings on daily basis for being staff of refineries that are not working. These are part of the things that are also consuming money in the Nigerian economy. People get paid, people get promoted, and allowances for doing nothing. And the refineries are there. It is unfortunate.
Okay. And with due respect, the president who has bloated his cabinet, he has one of the highest level of ministers in a while. So he too is part of the problems we are having of a very big cabinet at the time we are talking about Orosoye report. That's one. Number 2, you talked about all this pain. Are we paying subsidies? Are we still paying subsidies on petrol? Or we remove subsidies?
Okay, thank you.
No, I just asked that question because I want to ask a further question. Are we still paying, yes or no?
I know you are.
Are we still paying subsidies, yes or no?
I know you are trying to box me the economy.
No, wait now. Are we still paying?
You have asked a question. Let me answer.
No, I have not finished. Are we still paying subsidies, yes or no? Okay, if you can't answer, we are still paying subsidies. So there is nothing, no reversal happened. In fact, all the subsidy gone talk by President Tinubu, now just hot air, now audio. Because we are back to the regime of pain subsidies. So when you are saying the pain we have to go, this is just self-inflicted pain. Because all the things he announced, he has gone back to doing them. The third insight I would also like to put to you is, who do we blame for this problem? Should we blame President Buhari? Because all these last 8 years, he caused so much of this problem. I mean, not be so.
Okay, so let me address some of the issues you just raised. First, if you want to talk about payment of subsidy, I am not sitting here to speak on behalf of the economic team or Minister of Finance or whatever, but take note that if at all there's any gap in terms of the cost of bringing in PMS and all of that, it must have arisen from the current exchange rate. And if we have to say, okay, dollar is 1,005, let us do it at 1,005 per liter for every drop of petroleum product that comes into Nigeria, you will realize that even the 608 naira that is being sold in Lagos, it is being sold for 700 naira in Warri, in Delta State. Even the 608 naira that is being sold in Lagos today, we may not be able to achieve that. So to that extent, it is possible that some level of subsidy is being paid, but may not be as huge as it used to be.
It's even more than it used to be. If you check the numbers, you can check the stats.
I beg to differ. It may not be as huge as it used to be because I know matter-of-factly that the so-called volume of petroleum products we're importing has reduced because of some measures that have been taken by government. You know that In time past, the subsidy that was being paid was mostly being on paper. It was just paper subsidy. People bring documents to show that they have imported petroleum products into the country, and nothing happens, and the government is paying money to them. Then going back to say whether President Buhari is to blame or not, I would like to take us back to 2007 when President Obasanjo exited government. I know where Nigeria was as at that time. You will recall that, take the Port Harcourt Refinery, for example. It was sold to, I think, Dangote and some others. When the new administration came in 2007 after Obasanjo left, they reversed that transaction and government took over the refinery. I want to believe strongly that if that sale had gone through and private sector had taken over the refinery and operated the refinery, I'm sure by now that refinery would have been fully operational. I want to also believe that the failure of that transaction was what necessitated the building of the Dangote refinery in Lagos. So some of the policy somersault of the past has also led to what has put us where we are today. Not necessarily only the Buhari administration, but I wish to say...
But the Buhari administration shares in the blame, right?
Of course.
We must blame Buhari because
he
was the one giving all these subsidies in dollars and all of that.
The previous administration cannot say they were not part of it or cannot excuse themselves from the blame. You know why? If you have an organization, if you have a business, and you have a management team, and the team fails to manage the business the way you expect, when they exit, you don't just maybe shut down the business. You bring a new team. And that is what we have seen today. We now have a new team running the affairs of the business called Nigeria. And from what we have seen, we can tell that the previous handlers took some decisions that did not go well. That is the truth. And some of those wrong decisions or poor decisions, poor judgments, they are being effectively, corrected, and effort is being made to see to it that we get on the right track.
It's good you are admitting that, the previous administration, has part of the blame. So you are invariably saying that from Buhari to Tinubu, your party has been disappointing Nigerians. That's, okay, Feni is not here. He will remind us what we were taught in logic, how you make deductive reasoning. He is the one with a degree in philosophy, at the undergraduate level. But let me ask you this. You mentioned NLC. President Tinubu came to Lagos and said that NLC was wrong to go on strike within 9 months of the administration, twice. And he told organized labor that you are not the only voice of Nigerians, and that it was unacceptable to him that anybody called the organized labor will be going on strike under his watch. And yet what organized labor is going on strike for is that there is economic hardship in this country. People are stealing food, they are attacking food trucks and all of that. Who do you blame for that? Will you still blame the Buhari administration, or will you blame the Jonathan administration after a fashion? So what do you think? Labour should never protest. Nobody should ever say anything about the Tinubu administration. Do you agree with the president?
Quickly, before I talk about that, let me say that I have not said my party has failed Nigerians. No. I'm only saying to you that though the previous administration, that interpretation is not correct. Though the previous administration had my party men and women in government, I said to you that some of the decisions and some of the policies of the past administration that was in place from my party did not achieve the desired result, didn't go well. That's what I'm trying to say. And I'm not telling you that my party is still in office. A different set of party men and women are in position, things will go differently, be rest assured. On the issue of NLC, I think what President Tinubu tried to say is very simple. Permit me, let me put it locally, the way we say it in Delta. There's a popular masquerade in Delta called Omotekpokpo. Omotekpokpo comes out every now and then, mostly on market days. The masquerade has become too frequent that it has lost respect. What Mr. President is trying to say is that the clamor for strike and protest every now and then by the NLC within 9 months has become too frequent. Protest, strike should be the last resort. NLC should be willing to come to the table to discuss. Nigeria belongs to all of us. Nigeria does not belong to President Tinubu.
Sorry to interrupt you. The president of Nigeria cannot rewrite the constitution of Nigeria. Section 40 of the constitution gives people the right to protest, the freedom of association,
and they have
of assembly. Yes, so the president cannot rewrite the constitution and talk about the frequency of protest. Please, can we stay with what the law says,
yes,
which the president is sworn on oath to defend. Don't talk about Omorokpokpo from your hamlet. No, please.
So in Parliament, that's Order 9 Rule 4.
Yes.
You must confine yourself to the subject matter under discussion. And I think that is what we are doing here. Let me say again, it's not a case of the president trying to rewrite the law or trying to say or forbid them from protests or whatever. No. You will agree with me that there has been a series of protests since this administration came. That is the truth. A child that did not eat before going to bed the previous night wakes up in the morning and is crying. It's not necessarily because you were responsible for the empty stomach of the previous night, but you will inherit the cry. Assets and liability have been inherited by this administration. The cries of NLC and most Nigerians today can be likened to a child that slept with empty stomach the previous night. So now President Tinubu has come, they are crying. We are listening to the cry. Yes, they have the right to cry because we are aware that they slept with empty stomach. We are only saying, please be patient. The process of making what you will eat to cure the hunger is on. And I believe a lot of Nigerians are seeing some of these things already. It may not happen overnight because if our commonwealth, if our sane minds and stability was eroded over a period, you do not expect that overnight. A house that was destroyed in maybe 16 years, you cannot rebuild that same house in 9 months or even 1 year. The most important thing is, are we on site? Yes, we are on site. Are we making effort to rebuild? Yes, we are making effort. Please bear with us. We are making effort, we will rebuild, and you will see that actually we mean business and Nigerians will begin to reap the result. I have said this before, and I'm still saying it again. Patience is just what we need. We are hungry. Even me, I'm hungry.
You don't look hungry.
Of course.
You don't look hungry.
The last time I was here, I didn't have this much gray hair. You can see that they have increased.
All right. Would you say that perhaps your moving from the PDP to the APC has caused your gray hair? Because at least it's those in the party. Because it's your new, because I hear you defending the last administration, but you are not even in the APC during the last administration because you joined the APC in 2022.
Yes.
So at that point, so you're saying that at that point when you were in the PDP, you had an affinity to the APC to be able to speak and defend them so well, even though you weren't in their party at the time.
Okay, so you will recall that in one of my appearances here, I did state that we had issues of, let me say, opinions. I disagreed with the former governor of Delta State on the choice of who he chose to support for governor. Incidentally, the governor of Delta State today, Right Honorable Sheriff Ofobruku, was my colleague in the assembly. Ideally, you will expect that I will latch onto it to support a colleague to run for office, but I disagreed with that choice. That's one. Then the other thing, I did not also agree that the presidency should remain in the north. So I was opposed to supporting Atiku Abubakar for president. I do not know how to do anti-party. I do not pretend. I tried my best to say things the way they are, and I think I'm educated enough to be able to speak up at any point in time. So once my party resolved that it has to be Atiku Abubakar, I knew that I cannot sit there and be doing anti-party. Then finally, the issue of who succeeds Okowa came up, and of course I indicated the interest to succeed him, but the permutations, the whatever, did not favor me. And it favored my colleague. But I do not believe in that choice. I believe that there are other persons who can do the job. And at that point, I told myself, no. Okay, if he's the candidate of PDP and this is the candidate for APC, between the two of them, who do I think can better do the job? So I chose to support the APC one, and that was why I exited.
Yeah, the reason so it's not even about the exit. It's the fact that you're a recent member of the APC. You spent about
2022 to date.
That's 2 years, or a little under 2 years.
Yes, a little under 2 years.
But so you're confident that your decision and the line that the APC is towing, despite the fact that took the last administration 8 years didn't quite perform? You've talked about the fact that some of the economic woes we face today is as a result of the previous administration.
Before, yes.
So you saw that administration under that APC and you still decided that you were going to go with it. And now look at what we find ourselves in. Do you have any regrets at all? Or are you still confident that you made the right choice?
I have no regret at all. I have no regret at all. As far as I'm concerned, I have faith in President Tinubu's ability to turn things around. I also have faith in the choice of people he has picked so far to work with him, though not all of them. I believe as we journey along, some might fall by the wayside like the sower seed. But be rest assured that with the steps being taken, the caliber of people in the administration and the kind of focused president we have, who understands a lot of... You will notice that we no longer hear things like, I'm not aware. He's very much aware of all that is going on now. Okay. So it is easy for us to be able to say, this is the timeline, this is the goal, this is the target. No KPIs are set for everybody to get the job done. And we'll begin to measure as the days go by. By May 29, I would like to be here again. You, as journalists, can look at how far we have come from May 29, 2023, May 29, 2024, and measure the success that we have recorded. After that, in the next 1 year, we measure again. That's how we continue to do it till we get to the end of the tenure. I can assure you, we are taking steps in the right direction all of the way.
So let's talk about, one, the people you don't like in this administration that might hinder the work of Baba Tinubu, president. That's number one. Secondly, let's also talk about some of the promises. Like yesterday, I was researching through some of the promises, and I saw one that he said between July and March this year, they're going to give 75 businesses 75 billion at interest rate of 9%. Do you know any business that have benefited from this? And I want to ask you, what do you think of the performance of Sheriff Oborevwori as we speak in data today? And if he by any chance call you and say, Honorable, let's talk, would you see him?
Well, if he invites me for a conversation, why not? I will see him first. He's from my place. We speak the same language. We are colleagues in the assembly. I've known him over the years. We talk. I personally have even tried to reach out to him by calling him to tell him some things.
Did he pick your call?
No, he did not. But I wanted to tell him some things I think he's not doing right. I wanted to point out some things to him because whether you like it or not, he has a whole tenure at his disposal. The state is our state. If things go wrong, it's our state. If things go well, it's our state. As a critical stakeholder, the onus is on me to make my contribution where necessary while preparing for 2027. I've made effort to reach out to him, but most importantly, having worked closely with him in the assembly, having grown up in the same community with him, having known him over the years, we know ourselves, we know our strengths, we know our weaknesses. My view, sincerely, with all sense of apology, responsibility and due apologies to him, I do not think that he's doing well at the moment as far as Delta State is concerned. Delta can be better than what it is today. If you ask me, it's only birthday greetings I'll be hearing him send to people, birthday greetings, condolence visits, and all of that. I've not seen so much noise, less action happening in Delta State.
Honorable Efe, well, I think at this point, we will have to thank you very much for joining us. I'm sure that Governor of the Delta State heard you very clearly, and he will probably, respond in full measure to you, his brother from the same place, his former colleague in the House of Assembly of Delta State. But thank you for joining us.